Alright, today I'm going to make a quick video about having running issues with a Husqvarna 128LD weed eater, trimmer, whatever you want to call it. And this wouldn't just apply to this particular Husqvarna model. It would actually probably apply to basically any piece of equipment that's a two-stroke. And the issue is a carburetor issue, and I'm going to give you some symptoms I was having with mine and how I fixed it. A lot of people seem to think the only time you have carburetor issues is when it won't start, or it just immediately stalls out and it sputters. And that's not necessarily true. There's other problems a faulty carburetor can have that can be quite frustrating and make you throw the piece of equipment away instead of fixing it, when replacement carburetors are very cheap. So the issue I was having with this particular trimmer was I'd have it at full throttle. I'm sitting there, going along, doing the work around the yard, and the RPMs, would be fine, and it would just drop down extremely low. It wouldn't stall out, and it would pick back up. It would drop right back down, and it would pick back up. The whole time the throttle's fully depressed. I'm not changing the throttle at all. It was up and then back down. Very irritating and kind of hard, if not impossible, to do the work that I needed to do. It seemed like it was running kind of lean. It felt a little hotter. I pulled the spark plug. It wasn't oily at all. It was actually kind of dry and ashy looking. That's not a good sign. I also noticed I wasn't getting the smoke output I normally get, which isn't a ton, but normally a little bit of smoke, and it didn't sound like it was producing any smoke. Well, the next day I used it. It had a little bit of new symptom. It was still running kind of poorly, but it would just cut off like that, like you hit the kill switch. It would just immediately, you'd be running and it would cut off. And you could fire it right back up, and it would cut right off after a little bit. So I was like, okay, that tells me it's probably not an ignition coil issue, because an ignition coil problem, typically, if they can get faulty when they get hot, they'll just die. But if that was the case, I wouldn't be able to turn it immediately right back on. So I said, okay, let me put a carburetor on this, because this trimmer is about $200. I've had it for 6 years. They're still $200. I didn't want to spend that money. I don't like throwing stuff away. So I ordered a carburetor, off of Amazon. It wasn't shipped by Amazon. It was through a parts supplier, but I ordered it through Amazon. It was supposed to be an OEM Husqvarna part. It was about $28. It came with the carburetor and a new gasket that was pretty good quality, nice and thick. I got the part. It seemed like a good quality part. I put it on. It took me about 15 minutes to put it on. There's plenty of videos about carburetor installations, but it's very easy to do. I'll go over a quick thing what you have to do, but it's very easy. And I put the carburetor back on. 15 minutes later, I fired it up, and it's been running great for weeks. No problems. Actually, it runs basically just as good as brand new, if not, really as good as brand new. No sputtering, perfect throttle response, no bogging, no lagging down, nothing. I just threw the carburetor on. I made no adjustments whatsoever, and it's been running great. $30 to fix a $200 trimmer to make it run like new. Man, why not do it? So the only thing you really need to do is you take your air cleaner off. It's like changing your air filter, and you see those two nuts. I believe they were 9mm nuts. I took those two nuts off that are on the studs, and you just wiggle this plastic piece off, and it just wiggles off. There's the carburetor. Just pull that carburetor off the studs. You got your two fuel lines. Be careful. My fuel lines after 6 years are original, and they weren't brittle at all. I was able to reuse them. Just take those fuel lines off, put the fuel lines back on, place it back on the studs with the new gasket that it came with, which was like a nice quality gasket. Put your two nuts on, hand tighten them down, then just snug them up a little bit with a small ratchet. Don't go crazy, and boom, it fired right up. And I will link the part that I bought in the description of the video, so y'all don't have to search for anything for this particular model. But if you do want to save some money, you can get some of the aftermarket carburetors that are obviously sold by Chinese companies for about 15 bucks. It comes with the carburetor. It even comes with fuel line and all that. But I really wanted to try to stick with hopefully a better quality part, and not just throw on something that may or may not work. But you can get them as cheap as 15 bucks. This one was about $28 anyway. I hope this helps somebody, and if y'all have any questions, just put them in the comments, and I'll get back to you, and y'all have a good day till next time.